Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the medium in the middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Hello, middlers. Welcome to episode 140. 140. Holy cow. I know we just celebrated 3 years, but it still blows my mind how many episodes I've released. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I have an exciting part 1 of a 2-part story for you today. So I originally wanted to start off today with like a longer card pull, and then I realized that all of my favorite card decks are at my office. So I'm using 2 decks today that I wouldn't normally pull from, which I kind of like. And of course, they go along with today's episode. So the first card that I pulled is from the Wild Offering Oracle deck. This one's really pretty. Like, I like the images on it, and that's why I bought this deck, but I don't use it very often. And for no reason, it's not the first one I gravitate to. So going along with today's theme, which you'll soon find out, I pulled the card Divine Timing. The divine brings things in the timing that we need. Nothing comes before we're prepared, nor leaves too early. May I always trust your perfect and holy timing. Very interesting. And then I thought I'd pull from the Mediumship Training deck. I haven't pulled from this deck in a while, and I thought, let's see what it has to say. So I pulled the card Inspirational Mediumship. Again, it's going to go along with today's story that I have for you. I love when this happens. Okay, so the card reads, has a thought or idea suddenly appeared seemingly out of nowhere? Have you ever given words of wisdom to someone, yet the advice didn't seem to come from you, but through you? This could be evidence that you are possibly spiritually inspired. Inspirational mediumship is when spirit inspires the spirit within us. Through this type of mediumship, amazing works of art, literature, and advances in science and technology have been created in the physical world for centuries. When advice and guidance is spiritually inspired, whether to one person or a large audience, that can make the experience even more extraordinary. When spirit inspires us and we don't let our own minds cloud the information, there are no limits to what can be achieved. If you're ready to try this type of inspirational mediumship, then here's an exercise to practice. You can opt to do this alone or with a group. Put a selection of written words in a basket. For example, write down love, faith, nature. Without looking, choose a word. Take a moment to blend with spirit and let the words flow into your mind. Speak without pausing for a minute or two on the word you have chosen. Let your guides assist you and speak from your heart. At first you might draw a blank, but in time, wonderful and inspirational wisdom can happen. Very interesting. I was actually talking about this with a mentee today around like channeling information and how things will flow far easier than you think. So for this week's announcements, I just have a few announcements. The Mentees in the Middle for fall is now open for applications. If you want to work with me, it's a 12-week program this time. We are running longer. I have heard you loud and clear. 8 weeks was not enough. So we're doing a longer program, and it's where you get to work one-on-one with me. You will have one-on-one mentorship meetings with me. There's a PSYCH-K session in there. You have a few of my meeting in the middle recordings included as well, because I find there's the same common blocks for everybody. But if you've been looking for a mentor and if you think I am that person for you, I will leave the link down below to apply. The application is just to make sure, based on what you're looking for, I believe I can help you. I don't want to waste your time or take your money. So I want to make sure that whatever you're looking for, mediumship, Reiki, business development, that I actually feel that I can help you and have something to offer. So I just ask you a few questions in the application just to make sure we're a fit. And I always sway test it. And then we are good to go. So there are just 2 spots left. The rest of the spots have sold out, but if you are interested, I will leave the link down below in the show notes. Reiki trainings have filled up for September, so I have released the October level 1. It will be at the end of October, and there will be more level 2s coming. So I will announce those as soon as I have the dates, but it won't be till November. So those are all my little announcements for today. This episode is going to be a medium in the middle shorts. It's a shorter episode, but it is the prequel to a longer episode that I have for next week. So I just want to say kind of how this story started. I had someone book in for an in-person session, and I got an email from that person asking if I do Akashic record readings in person as well. And I just kind of sent a very generic, like, hey, I don't do these in person because I send you a recording of them. I find it's easier to just do them online. It's easier to record and just send it to them afterwards. So I just kind of said, hey, like, these are all done online. So the person comes in and he was like, hey, like, I was the one that had emailed you about the Akashic records. You don't do them in person, eh? And I was like, oh, like, not really. Like, it's just so much easier to do them online, I found, just because I send you a recording. He was like, okay, like, excited for my session today. I'm here visiting from Australia. And he said that his father had just passed. And I was like, oh, okay, like, sorry for your loss. Lay down. I gave the whole speech. And it was interesting because he had told me that he was also an energy worker, a shaman, a healer with sound, a card reader. Like, he just started rattling off all these things that he did. And I thought to myself, like, ooh, this is going to be fun. Because when one of us comes in, it's like you're kind of a kid at a playground. You're like, well, I could pull out all the stops for this person because... Not that you're given permission to go a little extra woo-woo, but you know that it's openly accepted. And, you know, when I go for sessions, it's always like, yeah, do whatever you want. And when someone comes for a session for me and they kind of lead with that, you're like, ooh, like, this will be fun. So he was like, you know, I'm open for everything, like, just go for it. And I was like, yes, like, this is going to be so fun. And just from his energy, I knew that it was going to be a really exciting session. So usually when this happens, when I have another energy worker come in, my psychic just goes, it just goes up. I don't know why, but my, like, predictive goes off, my mediumship goes up. Everything just feels heightened. And I wonder if it's because I give myself that permission slip, like, okay, this person's into it. And even when people say, like, you know, if anything comes up, I'm open to it, there's a different energy than when it's one of us. And I know that might sound bad, but yes, you're open to anything. It's just, I don't know. I just feel like other energy workers understand how things flow, how things drop in. There's a lot of, like, it feels very safe. It feels very welcoming. Yeah, I don't know if that's, like, a limiting belief of mine, but I just feel if it's another energy worker and they come in and they say, let's go, like, I'm firing at all cylinders. So that's kind of what I was like, let's go. And then I didn't think I was going to get his dad because I didn't sense anything right away. But his dad in my mind started repeating two things. And they were two kind of weird things. And, you know, that self-doubt pops in your mind. And I thought to myself, Steph, don't say anything. Like, that's kind of weird, the two little things I was getting. And then the session kept going, and I was getting information, and we were chatting, and, like, a lot of stuff was coming up. Energy-wise, you could feel a lot. It was just, like, this really, really cool session. So I think it was about 40 minutes in, I was like, okay, I'm just going to say these things from his dad because if they land, they land. And if they don't make sense, like, I'm not going to feel dumb or stupid. So I'm just going to say them. Like, I've learned over the years to just put it on the table and to not try to analyze it in your head. Reminder to all my developing mediums, don't try to analyze it in your head. It won't make sense. So what I was getting in my head was his dad was, like, joking that he didn't have a spot. Like, his body didn't have a spot. Like, he was showing me, like, a graveyard and being like, I'm not here. And he was, like, showing me, like, a shelf and being like, I'm not there. So I was like, is he trying to tell me he was cremated? Is he trying to tell me he's not in the ground yet? I don't understand. Like, I just kept seeing the graveyard. And he's like, I don't have a spot. And I was thinking, like, what could this mean? Like, he's saying I don't have a spot and I don't feel like I'm in the ground. So I asked and I was like, hey, is your dad kind of like a funny guy? And he was like, oh, yeah, he used to make lots of jokes. And I was like, okay. I was like, because he's kind of joking. And I don't really know what this means, but he's saying, like, I don't have a spot. And he's saying, like, showing me a graveyard, and I'm seeing that, like, I'm not buried. I was like, I don't feel like I was buried. I feel like I was cremated, but I also feel like whatever I'm in also doesn't have a spot. He's just joking that he doesn't have a spot. And he starts laughing, and he's like, my dad would joke about that. He's like, he doesn't have a spot. He's sitting on my mom's kitchen table right now because we don't know where to put him. And he said, we were just talking about how we need to find a spot for dad. And I was like, well, that's the weirdest thing Spirit ever had me say. But it landed, right? Like, he literally was telling me he didn't have a spot. And the whole premise is around him literally not having a spot to lay. So I thought that was interesting. And I was like, okay. And another kind of, weirder one, but not as weird. He's telling me that he's going to send you signs through trees. I was like, again, I don't know if like literally things are going to be etched into trees. I don't know if the message here is that there's going to be like signs hanging from trees. Because in Banff, we have this walkway and they do like kind of art in the park. And they put like messages under the trees. So that's what I was thinking in my mind, like quotes or sayings. And I was like, maybe it's like he's going to send messages that way. That's what I was kind of explaining. And he was like, oh, trees, interesting. He's like, okay, like I'll pay attention. And I was like, yeah, I don't really have anything to expand on other than he's going to send you messages in trees. So he's like, okay, cool. Like, thanks. So we finished the session. It was like a really cool session. He was a really cool person. And at the end, I was just like, hey, I know you said you wanted an Akashic record reading, and you said that you're also doing all of these things. You do energy work, you do sound healing, you do shamanism. And he was telling me like all these things that he's done. I was super, super interesting. And I was like, would you be interested in doing an energy trade? And I want to like premise this by saying I am very, very particular about who I let touch my body. And the first thing out of my mouth is never an energy trade. Like, I will trade Reiki for something else. Like, oh, you make blankets. I don't know why that's always my example. I've never traded Reiki for a blanket. But like, oh, you make blankets. I'll give you an hour of Reiki. You give me a blanket. Or like, oh, you do this. I'll give you an hour of Reiki, whatever. But it's never like I have one person I Reiki trade with. So the fact that this even came out of my mouth, I like shocked myself that I said it. And he was like, yeah, like I could come back next week and we could do a trade. He's like, I'm in visiting from Australia for 6 weeks. And I was like, okay. So we set that out. And I remember after he left, I was like, why in the hell did I offer an energy trade to a complete stranger? I was like, this doesn't make sense. But timing, it all makes sense. So the next week I was going to Vancouver. So we planned to do the trade the week after that. And that whole experience is going to have its entire own podcast. I'll leave you with this. It was the best, single-handedly, the best healing session I have ever had in my entire life. So many synchronicities, so many things were like, oh my God, aha, like all of these things. And it was just super, super interesting how it all kind of like came to be. Anyways, so I'm doing this medium in the middle shorts to tell you that story because I am seeing him again tomorrow for another session. So I will have probably more to add on to next week. But I wanted to kind of lay the groundwork with this week's episode, tell you about it, and then leave you hanging for a week on the edge of your seat until next week's episode because, well, I had to wait 2 weeks. You only have to wait 1. But the other episode is going to be just, it's so good. So this is my medium in the middle shorts, just sprinkling, the groundwork of the next episode. This was part 1. Very, very interesting. And then just a reminder that things are put in your way for a reason. You will meet the people you need to meet. You will have the experiences you need to have. And just synchronistically, how this all worked out is very interesting. Even he was telling me about like who referred him and all of these things. I was like, that's so interesting. All of these synchronicities to come together, which all make sense on next week's episode. So come back next week to get the rest of this story. I wanted to do a little shorty this week to drop the little bomb, and then we will continue this next week on Wednesday. So I will see you then, Middlers. If you haven't already, please leave a rating and a review for the podcast. I really appreciate it. As always, all the links you need are down below in the show notes to book an appointment with me, to apply for Mentees in the middle. I will say that September and October are going to be very limited for appointments. I counted yesterday and there are only 4 available dates in September and October for appointments. Everything else is taken up by mentees, Reiki trainings, or the Banff Wellness Retreat is coming up. So lots of weekends dedicated to trainings. I'm doing 2 Reiki Masters courses. I will be launching Reiki Masters eventually. So that is coming. If you are one of my Reiki Level 2 students and you do want information on my Reiki Masters course, just email me and I will send you everything you need to know. I will only be mastering my Reiki students. Masters is a really, really important next step in your Reiki journey. So I need to know what you learned in level 1 and level 2 just to make sure that you're nice and prepared. But if you want that information, send me an email and I'll be more than happy to send it all over. But until next Wednesday, Middlers, I hope you are sitting on the edge of your seat. This is a good woo-woo one for next week. I will see you in your ears next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.